Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. This is the behind the scenes for Hermitcraft episode 666. I'm assuming you have already seen this video. If you haven't, make sure you watch it on the main channel first of all. This right here is where the video you would have already watched will be, and it's obviously smaller on the screen, and you should be able to figure out what we're talking about by looking over here most of the time. You're currently looking at my video editing software, and I'm going to give you some insights into basically how the episode was put together. So we're going to be looking at the editing, whereas there's lots of stuff like preparation, working with other people to record, multiple camera angles and logging into servers with different accounts, copies of the world. That stuff I'm going to explain as we go along, but I haven't really prepared to do a behind the scenes video where I could show you all of that in detail. So I'm hoping that you'll be able to get an idea of how this video is put together. So we start off with a shot explaining a little bit of, X has been banished and he's got a plan and all of this, Evil X of course. And then in the background here what we actually have is the Nightmare Realms map, which was made by Vex. I needed something evil, like an evil Minecraft map, to have a little bit of setting for these sorts of shots. And then I remembered Final Fantasy II by 3.2, one of my favourite CTM maps, and that is full of beautiful builds like this one here that are dark and evil. And so I spent some time flying around in the world, creating these shots, editing them together. And that's what you're looking at on the timeline here. The timeline, by the way, is very big. It goes down here. There's tons of edits that we're going to see. Lots of different transitions. To give you an idea of how big this project was, these are all the files that went into the folder for editing. And it's a little bit laggy at the moment because it's trying to read and write from the hard drive as I record this video. So then we got some more shots from the Final Fantasy II world of Evil X arriving. I'm also going to point out some bloopers and stuff along the way as well. And I also want to mention that in doing this I was restrained because of Halloween and knowing that people would make a big deal about this being out on Halloween. There's some parts of the video you may notice where things transition rather quickly or the music and the tone changes very sharp. That's because I didn't have a lot of time to flesh out the story that I had been dreaming up for the longest of times. So anyway, we see the portal. I love this portal. From day one of preparing for this episode I always had this portal in my mind, and I was actually going to build my own one, but then I started using the Final Fantasy map and it made sense to use that portal, which we see go into one of the other worlds. So it takes us to Hermitcraft Season 4. Zloy and Pixel Riffs were kind enough to be in on the episode and provide me with some voiceover work here, a really good script where they bump into Evil X, who's also on the world download. You'll see here lots of stuff on the timeline. So the way that Evil X's voice is done, I believe if I click here, yeah, you won't be able to see this stuff. There is, yikes, there is a chorus effect on track 1. That's like an immediate echo that sort of reverberates a little. And then we have on the second track this stuff. We have a pitch shifter and some reverb going on. So it makes the voice lower. They're also down here, if you look, slightly off from one another. That's so there's a little bit of delay in the synchronization, and it gives Evil X that cool voice. At the very bottom here, you may notice that there is some music, and you see these little lines here going up and down. Well, you can right click on the timeline and add points, and you basically create a volume graph. So I can lower the volume as we go into talking, and then we tweak it here for the recap bit. So you can see the recap audio is at the bottom. If I scroll up, we have this right here. Now this moves, doesn't it? It moves on the screen. I will show you another editing thing. This, oh goodness me, it tries to put itself somewhere on the screen. At the bottom of this window there are keyframes on a timeline from left to right. If I click on that one, you can see, well, you couldn't really see it if I zoom out. Like you start off with that and then it goes to this. So it's the box on the outside that sort of shows you how it's being scaled. And yeah, and that causes it to move. The effects on either end cause it to fade in and out. That little blue bar is how transparent it is in total. So lots of little edits done to loads of clips. Stuff like this takes a long time going through and snipping all the bits together. Some clips were reused and stuff like that. Also, when we were recording on this server, it turned out that there was something wrong that was causing like a rubber banding effect. And so when Zloy and Pixel Riffs walk away, you can see that it sort of rubber bands a little bit. It's in this clip here. yeah, when they're walking away. If you remember that, they like rubber band, which is an unfortunate thing, but given the time constraints I had to record the episode, you just had to kind of work with what you'd got. So there are things all over this video that I would like to have done differently and perfected, but you know, time was an issue. This is another thing, like Evil X just jumping into the eye at the bottom there, I just thought was kind of funny way to jump back to the portal here, where we get introduced to the evil voice, which is me doing my shredder voice, which I wasn't thinking I was going to do in this video. Let's do it.
I'll get you next time, Gadget. Next time.
Which is from Inspector Gadget. So yeah, that's that voice down here with some effects on it again. It is, let's have a look, a multi-tap delay, some reverb, and a pitch shift have all been configured and tweaked for that. So that's how that voice sounds. We've got a resource pack over here. Shout out to Andre and the Vanilla Tweaks team for hooking me up with the texture pack to do that. So Evil X is coming over here. There's some lightning overlaid on this track. I can, you know, push that up and push it down. Looks better when there's a lightning strike, right? So that's how some of these effects work. You know, I'm going over every little detail because I like the idea of you being able to learn from this. Hopefully. Anyway, Evil X and X interact. We've got lots of editing down here on the audio. This is basically what happens is I sit down and read the lines that I've written, and then I drag them about, and I try and get the timing right so that the flow of the conversation is either natural or comical. So like if there's like awkward silences or it sounds just a little bit cheesy, that's probably deliberate. Here's a mistake that we made when doing these clips here. If I zoom in and look for one without that clip there being blue, it means I haven't changed the pan. So these are panned in on the different characters, and this one right here is the original shot. Over there in the backgrounds are command blocks. I just didn't really think that we put our command blocks out in the open because I didn't think it was going to show up. So that was a silly little mistake. You can look out for that. Now when Evil X runs away, you can also see the command blocks just about. It was a good thing it was nighttime, otherwise they would really show up. And then this clip here where I talk to the camera, I didn't realise that Evil X was hanging out in the background. So you can actually see Evil X over there. You can go and watch the video and look out for these things again if you want to. You know, the video on the main channel. So then we have going through the portal. Yeah, shots like this were kind of, if I remember correctly, the music ends a little bit too soon. Would have liked them to have gone a little bit different, but time is a constraint. Now this is the big thing for this episode, was being like taking the two games that I like the most, Minecraft and Doom, and sort of merging them together. Found someone who actually created Minecraft Doom, which is this right here. So this was part of the play. I've been trapped inside of the game and I've got to escape, but I die, and Evil X hasn't figured out how to deal with that. Now this right here, I can make this quite interesting for you if I lower the transparency of that. That's the original footage you watched a moment ago. It's tilted and turned. I don't know how to mask using this program, which is MSP12 by the way, aka Sony Vegas. It's the knockdown version that removes a couple of features and costs about 12 times less, which has been value for money. That's for sure. You know, I've been using it for years now. So yeah, like I don't know how to mask it to the shape that's there. We're also using a Chroma Key. So let me show you how a Chroma Key works. So what was on there was an item frame that was bright green. And if I change the color of this, it's going to start to, yeah, look. If I change it to red, the thing that's now transparent is all the red stuff, right? If I go to that, can I make this more useful for us while we're recording? This probably, I should have, you know, prepared in advance, but it's that kind of video. Okay, so now you can see the stuff in the background, right? Going on where the Chroma Key was red. So you can take different colors in the image, pull them out, and green seems to be the popular one. Anyway, moving on, we now have the Minecraft First World, which my buddy Autumn actually got for me. This is extracted from the original game. There's a mod that can convert the Doom worlds into Minecraft worlds, and that's what we're looking at here. I then applied a texture pack and went around and yeah, messed about with the level a bit and just got it so that I could sort of play it with mobs in it and stuff like that. Yeah, so it's a lot of fun to do. We get to the end, we have the flint and steel that takes us back to the overworld. This is one of those awkward transitions where I didn't really time things very well, and as I'm recording other bits I ran out of time, so I literally just made a clip of me appearing out of the portal here to kind of emphasize that I got on back. If I had more time, I probably would have done a talking clip and some sort of something going on where I'm like, oh, I'm back in the world. What was all that about, or whatever. You know, but I didn't have the time for that. So Evil X doesn't like being evil anymore. The evil voice gives up on him. I love this stuff. It's supposed to be a bit cheesy as well, right? Like, anyway, and now probably my favourite bit of the whole thing is Rendog coming in, giving us the voiceover. You can see his voice track down here, which I applied some reverb to. I won't open that up again because it's pretty basic stuff that we've seen. Now we're using the Chroma Key again over here. If I click on this, we'll also see we're using the TV simulator. And I was looking through different effects. I was trying different things, and I went, TV simulator, there might be something about it. This is the default settings. It just looked great straight away. I thought, you know, ghostly TV image Ren coming in to tell me how to get rid of Evil X. And yeah, really enjoyed putting all of that together. So down here you can see I'm talking with Ren, then we have the fade out, and there's a reference there that some of you might get depending on what sort of music you listen to. It is a reference to that. Anyway, yeah, then the Bedrock Portal. Now, what I was originally going to do was take Obsidian and create a Bedrock texture so I could then light a portal. But then I realised, hang on a second, this entire thing is built out of Obsidian, and I didn't have the tools to replace it other than doing it block by block. So time constraints meant that I had to come up with some other sort of transition. So this is where you see this really sort of fast, oh, there's an explosion, oh, now we're here. And I picked out a song which had the right sound to make it feel like you were being teleported. That was quite convenient that that song started off like that, because I liked it. And speaking of the soundtrack, like, picked out a lot of good songs, spent a fair bit of time. The music is always important for me. I feel like it sets the tone, and I can match that with what I'm doing in the video. There was one further towards the end where I literally like had to pick out a song, and it was like not even the first thing that I intentionally clicked on. I accidentally clicked on something and went, that is the song for that. But we'll talk about that when we get there. So this is the Doom 2 boss fight. Shout out to Tidmouth for creating the texture over here. We worked on this a while ago. He is extremely helpful because, you know, I can't do graphic design and this guy can. And basically I sent him the original image of the boss over here. He then changed it to Evil X, did an animation on the circuit in the middle, and I went and then put that back into the game using modding and stuff. So then we have the return of Rendog. I literally took a clip from that and just shortened it over here so it's the same animation again. And then we do the final boss fight, and I shoot it in the face, and the end is really quick here, okay? So this is another moment where I spent, I think, 4 or 5 attempts recording this little fight, and then it was like, oh, it ends, once you actually done it, oh, it ends abruptly, and I didn't know what to do, so I found one of those demonic doom faces to sort of throw in at the end, and then it jumped straight into me leaping out of the bed. The music changes very quickly. There's a voice in there as well that you hear. That's me doing the shredder voice. It's not that great, that bit, but I'm happy with it. It'll do. It would have been nicer to have come up with a better solution, but time constraints mean I just had to pick something and go with it. So X is in the base, walks around, walks outside. Here's another inconsistency. Okay, I do an F5 here. I'm also wearing armor. You can see that, and then in the next shot, I'm not. And later on, I was like, and that's because we've got a couple of actors here, and I just forgot to mention that we needed to do that. You might be able to actually just the camera stays fixed here. There's some more janky stuff over on that island where I was recording various bits and bobs, but you can't actually see it from here. So then again, a conversation with lots of voice editing down here. We've got music at the bottom, tons of these little shots. The way we recorded this is we sit together and I say to the people in Discord, bob your head now, and you bob your head and shake your fist and jump up and down. And then we spent a few times recording this last bit. So I don't know if you can see it. If I jump from here to here, you see how the position and the camera angle changes? That's because we spent quite a few times trying to do this, which is where they both run onto the cactus at the same time, and yeah, they doubled up. So that song that I mentioned earlier is this one right here. When you get to this part of the video, that song was like the most luckiest accidental click on the perfect song to go in this little section. So the video is actually going to end here, but I felt like it didn't really emphasize 100% what had happened. And then I had this idea of like this Gandalf kind of voice coming in and just wrapping up all the loose ends on the story, or making it obvious if it wasn't. So it talks about Evil X and X now being friends, and then it jumps into explaining the whole computer game bit with Doom a little bit further, talks about the evil voice, and then it's like, oh, and I'm an Iron Golem talking to you, which I thought was funny. And then we go into the credits at the end, and I don't think I missed anyone. I spent some time going over this. We've got Nightmare Realms in the background again. So massive thank you to all the people who are on this list. If I missed anyone, I'm really sorry, but like I said, I went over this again and again. I took notes as I did it. If there's anything I've missed, now would be the time to point it out. Nembom MC. So in the beginning, we see Evil X riding ghasts. Nembom told me about this mod that he had made literally the day before I was going to start recording. And so my original plan was to have Evil X moving around a like evil lair, and there being like minions and other creatures with him. But I just scrapped all that and decided to do the ghast riding instead because it was really cool. Tibmouth with the boss fight. 3-2, the creator of Final Fantasy 2, amazing map. On my main channel, if you want to go and watch me play Final Fantasy 2, that's the thing, just go over there and search for it. Same for the original Doom games, I've done playthroughs on those on my main channel. Also on this channel, the second channel, you can find the new Doom game, which I did a playthrough of. Vex's Nightmare Realms, I'm not sure if I actually have, I don't think I've got a super hostile, oh I do. I have one super hostile, which is Spellbound Caves, very very old series of mine with boring voice. If you like the sound of that, then it's on my channel, you can go search for it. These are the people that made Doomcraft, the texture pack that we used. Andre will help for the resource pack. Then we got the music, which was all by Arang, Azuku, Crinkles, and that's it. Ben's sound is the Hermitcraft recap, and then also thanks to the Hermitcraft community in general. And that's how episode 666 ends, and I guess that's how this video ends, which is surprisingly longer than I thought it would be. I didn't know how long we'd be sitting down and talking for, but 17 minutes is pretty impressive. But that's the behind the scenes on episode 666. Let me know what you thought of this video down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao for now. Bye bye.